Ever catch yourself scrolling through the news, seeing those headlines about a city council vote, and you're like, huh, what are they up to over there?
Yeah, like something's happening, but...
But who has time to actually sit through those meetings?
Right.
Well, today, we're diving into that world.
We're taking a peek behind the curtain.
Exactly. A deep dive into Seattle City Council meetings.
And specifically, through the surprisingly interesting lens of meeting minute.
Okay, so those official records, not always the most thrilling reads.
Definitely not page turners.
But they hold clues. Clues about the city's priorities.
How decisions are made.
And ultimately, how those decisions impact, well, us.
All of us Seattle residents, yeah.
So we're tackling two specific meetings, April 23rd and the 30th.
Back to back. Which is where it gets really interesting.
Right. You get this flow of how things work, the arguments, the
back and forth, the personality.
Exactly. Okay, so April 23rd. Like any good meeting, it starts with proclamations.
A little glimpse into the city's, I guess you could say, its personality.
Right. We've got the standard Older Americans Month proclamation.
Always important to recognize.
Absolutely. But then this one caught my eye. Dana Robinson Sloat Day.
Now, if you're like, who?
Yeah. Who is Dana Robinson Sloat?
Dana Robinson Sloat was actually the director of communications for the city council.
Ah, so her job was all about getting information out there.
Exactly, and making sure people understood what was happening in their city government.
Interesting. So why dedicate a whole day?
Well, think about it. Remember that whole controversy over the waterfront development?
Oh, yeah, where a lot of people felt like they weren't being heard.
Exactly. So this proclamation, even symbolically, could be the council acknowledging clear communication matters.
Oh, I see. Like a subtle nod to, hey, we hear you. We're working on it.
Something like that. It's
Yeah.
a very real need in local government transparency.
Wow, so those proclamations, more to them than meets the eye.
Sometimes there's always more beneath the surface.
Okay, well, moving on. This meeting was packed. Over 40 people signed up for public comment.
Wow, that's a lot. That's real engagement right there.
It is. So you've got 40 plus people, all walks of life.
Right. This is your neighborhood. This is Seattle showing up.
And that's where the meeting minutes, as dry as they can be,
They come alive in the way.
because you're hearing from actual people about what matters to them.
It's a direct line to the council.
So important. Okay, then we get into a topic that, on the surface, might seem a little less exciting. Appointments to the Design Review Board.
Ah, but don't click away yet.
No, this is important stuff.
Because the Design Review Board, they have a huge impact on what our city actually looks like.
True. All those new apartment buildings, the parks.
Exactly. They have a say. So these appointments, they determine who gets to shape Seattle.
Okay, so maybe we don't need to list all 29 appointments here,
Probably not.
but it's something to keep an eye on if you care about your neighborhood's look and feel.
Absolutely. Pay attention to who's shaping your city.
All right, so we're done with the April 23rd meeting,
On to the next.
April 30th. And right away, a little scheduling mystery.
Ah,
Councilmember Strauss shows up late, leaves early.
interesting. See, it's these little details.
You think there's more to it?
Well, we don't want to speculate too much, but
Yeah.
what's interesting is what Councilmember Strauss missed.
Okay, lay it on me. What did they miss? Some secret vote to rename Pike Place Market.
Not quite, although wouldn't that be interesting? But seriously, looking back at other meeting minutes,
Okay, so you're doing some detective work here.
a little bit, yeah. Councilmember Strauss consistently absent during discussions about certain development projects,
So maybe not Pike Place, but projects that could impact.
specific neighborhoods, communities. It's a pattern.
Interesting. It's like those minutes, they're like a breadcrumb trail.
In a way, yeah, you can start to see priorities, maybe even potential conflicts of interest.
Okay, well, while we ponder that mystery,
Right, moving on.
let's talk about something that sounds like it came straight out of a bureaucrat's dream journal. The Connected Communities Development Partnership Bonus Pilot Program.
You sure you didn't make that up?
I wish I could take credit. No, this is a real thing.
Catchy title, for sure.
Right, but jargon aside, this program is trying to tackle a huge issue here in Seattle.
Which is?
Affordable housing.
Ah, yes. A hot topic if there ever was one.
Huge. So this program, it's all about incentivizing developers, right,
Yeah.
to include more affordable units in their projects.
Makes sense. Trying to make it a win-win. Developers get certain bonuses, the city gets more affordable housing options.
So on paper, good idea, but
Yeah.
the vote was 7-2 against it. So clearly something's not sitting right.
And this is where those public comments come back into play. A lot of concern from residents about increased density in their neighborhoods.
Right. So it's not just about building more, but building right.
Exactly. And ensuring that affordability is actually guaranteed in the long run. There were some questions about that.
Okay, so it's complicated. No easy answers.
Nope. And you see that reflected in the council's vote. It's a tough one.
It is. All right. Well, after that debate, I think we all need a moment of zen.
A little bit of calm amidst the storm.
Exactly. And luckily, the minutes provide just that. The Parks Development Plan. Passed unanimously.
See? Everyone loves parks.
It's true. But this plan, it's more than just adding a few more swings and benches.
It's a whole vision for parks in the city, accessibility, sustainability.
Urban agriculture even. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, thinking about parks in a whole new way.
Okay, so from contentious development debates to parks.
Quite the range.
These two meetings, they really show you the spectrum.
And that's city government, isn't it?
Okay, so we've been through 2 weeks of Seattle City Council meetings.
Back to back.
Proclamations, appointments, affordable housing debate.
Parks.
Parks, of course. But, I think what we've really seen here
What did we see?
is how those meeting minutes, as I'll admit, sometimes a little dry as they can be.
Dry, but important.
They really are a window into, the heart of the decision-making in our city.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how those decisions...
Because they are decisions, right?
They really do impact, everyone listening, all of us Seattle residents.
Yeah.
This stuff matters.
It does, and I think sometimes people forget that. It's easy to tune it out.
Right. It feels very in the background.
But no, these have real-world consequences. Like that Connected Communities program, that's going to change neighborhoods.
Huge implications.
So for folks listening, who maybe don't have time to, read through pages and pages of minutes every week.
Who does?
Fair point.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're going to take away one thing from these 2 meetings, what would you say it is?
I think it's that you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have a fancy title to make your voice heard in this process. Look at those public comments. 40-plus people, just ordinary Seattleites, speaking their minds.
Yeah. And on a range of issues. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Affordable housing, development, parks, these affect everyone.
They do, and I think what those comments, those debates, even that split vote on the Connected Communities program, it shows is just how complex these issues are.
Oh, absolutely. There are no easy answers.
It's not just build more housing or don't change my neighborhood. There's so much nuance.
Exactly. And that's why staying informed, like we're doing here, having these conversations, it's so important. Because then you can actually engage in a meaningful way,
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about citizen voices. We've talked about how complex these issues are.
Anything else?
Well, I did think it was kind of heartwarming in a way that the Parks Development Plan passed unanimously.
Oh, yeah.
Amidst all that debate, everyone can agree that we need more green spaces.
Parks are good.
Parks are good.
Maybe that's the takeaway. Find common ground.
There you go. But in all seriousness, these minutes, this process, it's how we shape our city together.
Exactly. So next time you see a news story about a council meeting, take a second, maybe click the link, see what they're talking about.
You might be surprised, right? It might be more interesting than you think.
Or at the very least, you'll know what's going on.
Exactly. And hey, if you ever get overwhelmed, you know where to find us.
We'll be here diving into those minutes so you don't have to.
That's right. Until next time, Seattle.